All right, so now that you've had a chance to fill out the career and college major worksheet mentioned in the last video, you now have a good sense of some of your hobbies, interests, skills, and abilities that might be useful in helping you to decide which college degree to pursue. The next step is to flesh that out into an academic plan in MyCE so that you can identify which college classes you need to take through both concurrent enrollment and advanced placement, or AP, in order to achieve your career goals. So first, let's take a look at how you access MyCE. To get there, you're going to go to the SLCC concurrent enrollment website at slcc.edu/concurrent enrollment. Once you're there, you'll see a button on the right-hand side that says Access MyCE. If you're on your phone or a smaller screen, then it'll show up at the top of your screen. Either way, look for the blue button that says Access MyCE. When you find that, click Log In to MyCE Now. You can also get there by going directly to myce.slcc.edu. Once you come to MyCE, you'll see a button that says High School Student. Click on that and you'll come to the login page. If you don't know what your login information is, you can click on the Reset Password link. You'll notice at the top here that it says, for students, enter your SLCC Bruin Mail email address below. If you're not sure what your Bruin Mail email is and how to access that, then you can click on the Click Here link and it'll take you to a list of tutorials. You'll probably want to review the retrieving your student S number, retrieving your MySLCC username, MySLCC password reset process, and accessing your SLCC Bruin Mail and forwarding it to another email address. Each of those tutorials should walk you through the steps necessary to get access to your SLCC Bruin Mail. When you've set that up, you'll return to the MyCE student login page and type in your Bruin Mail email address. When you've done that, click the Reset Password and it'll send you a link to set up your password. Once you've clicked on that link and set up your password, you'll come back here to the MyCE student login page, enter your credentials, and then click Login. After logging in, it's time to build your first academic plan by clicking on My Academic Plan. To start your plan, you'll press this little blue button up here that says Start New. That will expand the plan creation tool. The first thing you'll do here is select an area of study. Now, if you look at this list and struggle to decide which one to choose, know first of all that you can always change your mind and come back to this page and build a new academic plan by clicking the Start New button. Another thing that can help you to select an area of study is to ask yourself if there's anything that really sticks out based on your hobbies, interests, talents, or skills that you identified on that college and career major worksheet that you filled out after watching the first academic planning video. Or you can do the inverse of that and think about what you are absolutely not interested in. Once you do that, you can eliminate all the areas of study you don't care about, and it'll be a lot easier to choose from that smaller list of areas that you might be interested in. If after doing that you still have no idea, then you can select the general education, I really don't know what I'm interested in, and it'll give you a list of general classes that you can start with until you decide which area of interest you want to pursue. Again, it's totally okay if you start with one area of study, take a few classes, and then change your mind. Most students change their major several times before they finally settle in. Just be sure, though, to come back here when that happens and build out a new academic plan based on your changing interests, because that'll change some of the classes that you need to take. And the last thing that any of us wants is to waste our time and money taking a class we really didn't need to take. So for our purposes today, we're going to pretend you're coming to Salt Lake Community College after high school to finish an associate's degree. And so I'm going to go ahead and select Health Sciences. For the campus, I'm going to select SLCC because if you're using this tool, then most of the classes that you're going to be taking are through SLCC. Next, select your high school counselor. If you don't see your counselor in the list, then just reach out to the concurrent enrollment office and we will make sure that they get added. Once you've selected your counselor, your final step is to choose a career pathway. The career pathways drop-down list lists all of the degrees that SLCC offers that are related to the area of study that you've selected above. Let me talk briefly about the difference between the AS or AA degree options and the AAS degree options. An AS degree is an Associates of Science, or an AA degree an Associate of Arts. These degrees are designed to transfer to a four-year university where you'll eventually earn your bachelor's degree. So if you're thinking that you ultimately want to end up with a bachelor's or a master's or a PhD, then the AS or AA degrees would be the best one to select. On the other hand, if you're ready to get out into the workforce as soon as possible and start working at a better paying job that you enjoy, then you're going to want to select an AAS or Associates of Applied Science. The AAS is designed to get you out into the career field after finishing the two-year degree. Oh, and one more thing that's very important to know if you plan on going to another college or university besides SLC after high school, you'll notice that next to some of the degrees listed here, that in parentheses, it lists different Utah universities. What this means is that SLCC has what is called an articulation agreement with these universities for this degree. An articulation agreement basically means that if you complete this degree, that the university will apply all of the classes you take in that degree toward your bachelor's degree in that subject. And you will automatically be a junior in that program at that university when you transfer there. If you think that you might know what you want to do and which university you would like to end up at, completing your associate's degree at SLC is a great option because it's a lot cheaper here at SLC and class sizes are smaller and more intimate. If you find a degree that you're interested in, but the university you want to go to doesn't appear in parentheses next to that degree, that means that we don't have an articulation agreement with that university. And so the classes you take may or may not apply toward your bachelor's degree. If that's the case, or if you are relatively certain that you will never come to SLC after high school, then your best option is to select general education. I really don't know what I'm interested in. You can get to that option by selecting that in the area of study above. The General Education Certificate of Completion will allow you to package all of your general education courses into a transferable certificate that'll essentially get you out of having to do any more generals at the Utah college or university you end up at, if you finish all the requirements for that certificate. If you don't finish everything before high school graduation, you can always come to SLC after high school to finish that up before you move on to your university of choice. If you just take one or two classes along that pathway and then transfer to another college or university in the state of Utah, there's a chance that they may not apply the way that you had hoped. But you'll have a better chance of the few classes that you do take transferring if you stick to the classes listed on the general education pathway. If you're planning on going to a college or university outside of Utah, then it's a good idea to check in with that school to find out how your concurrent enrollment and or AP classes might transfer. So to show you how to build a degree plan, we're going to go ahead and select the biology degree for now. When you select a degree, over here on the right, it'll have a description of the degree so that you can see what the program is all about, as well as any career opportunities that might exist in the career field that degree leads to. If the description and the career opportunities align with what you're wanting to do with your life, you can click Save and Continue to Next Step. If not, select some of the other degrees until you find something that you feel aligns well with your interests. Where it shows requirements, this is a list of all of the concurrent enrollment and AP or advanced placement courses that fulfill requirements specifically for this degree. We'll dive into these more on the next page. So once you decide on your career pathway, click Save and Continue to Next Step. On this page, we're going to actually build out a plan to complete this degree. You'll see that there are two columns here, unless you're on a mobile device, in which you'll have one column with two sections. The first column shows the required categories for this degree and the concurrent enrollment or AP classes that fulfill these requirements. On the right is a list of the classes that you have taken or that you plan to take and which semester or year you plan to complete those. The Academic Planning Tool will automatically pull in any SLCC concurrent enrollment classes that you're currently registered in or that you've completed in the past if those classes apply toward the degree that you're working towards. If you've taken classes that don't show up in the list of requirements for this degree, then they won't be pulled into your plan. Your goal now is to add classes from the column on the left to the column on the right until all of the blue category checkboxes are checked with a green check mark. Before we do that, though, let me walk you through some of the features that you need to be aware of as you build out your plan. So the first thing to notice is that under each category, it lists the total number of credits that are required for that category. So for example, here in the written communications category, it says that only 3 credits are required to fulfill that degree requirement. But if you look under the category, there are actually 2 classes listed, and each of those is 3 credits. You'll also notice that one of those is a concurrent enrollment course worth 3 credits. The other is an AP or advanced placement course that once you send those scores to SLCC will equal 3 credits in that category. This means that in order to meet this requirement of the 3 credits in written communication, you only need 1 of those 2 classes. If you were to take both classes, one of them would fulfill the requirement and the other would either just sit on your transcript as useless selective credit that no longer applies towards your degree since that requirement was already met with the other course. This means that it wouldn't help you graduate sooner or save you any time or money. In fact, you would waste your time and your money taking that additional class. So you want to make sure that as you're going through this process of building your plan, that you don't waste your time and your money by taking more than the required number of classes in each of these categories. Now, before I show you how to add classes to your plan to start checking off each of those categories, let me walk through what some of the colors and symbols mean that you'll see as you build your plan. Next to each course, you'll see a little eye icon. If you click on this, it'll open a description of that course with any prerequisites that course requires. This will help you see what the course is about so that you can decide which one sounds the most interesting or the least painful to take to fulfill that requirement. It'll also help you figure out what order you need to take your classes in. For example, if you click on the little I next to English 2010, it says for the prerequisite that you need to complete English 1010 with a C or better before you can take English 2010. If you look at English 1010, it says that you need to complete High School Language Arts 11 before you take English 1010. So as you're building your plan, you need to complete Language Arts 11 before you take English 1010 and English 1010 before you take English 2010. Otherwise, you get yourself in trouble. Now, so you don't have to click on each of the little eye icons to see if there's a prerequisite, we've flagged courses with a prerequisite with the little asterisk icon. Another thing to pay attention to is the coloring. If one of the classes is highlighted in gray, that means that it has already been added to your plan or that you've completed that class in the past or are currently registered in it. If a class is highlighted gray and the little category box is checked with a green check mark, then you have fulfilled that category and can stop taking classes in that category. You also want to pay attention to the urgent messages icon. This icon will show up here on the right-hand side if you've selected more than a certain number of credits. Right now, the limit for concurrent enrollment is 30 credits per year. So in a semester, you don't want to take more than 15. And usually if you've got 12 to 15 in a single semester, the warning's going to pop up saying that that's a pretty heavy credit load because you also have to complete high school graduation requirements as well. High credit loads can burn you out and overwhelm you and make it so that by the time you're done with high school, you have no desire to continue on to college and finish your degree. We want you to enjoy high school, have fun with your friends, and not develop an anxiety disorder because you push yourself too hard. Seriously, it's not the end of the world if you don't finish your entire college degree or even most of your college degree by the time you graduate from high school. There are plenty of scholarships and other financial aid opportunities to help you after you graduate. In fact, one of those is the CE Transition Scholarship. You can find out more about that scholarship by going to slcc.edu/concurrent enrollment and then click on the Transition to College button. So anyway, just be aware that if that warning shows up, you can click on it and it'll remind you to take a chill pill and dial it back a little. One more thing I'll point out before we start adding classes is that next to each class, in parentheses, you will see a number or a range of numbers. These numbers indicate the grade or grades when you're eligible to take those classes in high school. So for English 1010, you would only be eligible to take this class when you are in 12th grade. But for Art 1050, you could take that in 10th, 11th, or 12th grade. So as you're building out your plan, keep that in mind as you add classes to different semesters. The one exception to this is if you plan to take the class on an SLCC campus through the Concurrent on-Campus program. Only 11th and 12th graders are eligible to take concurrent enrollment classes on a SLCC campus. So if you plan to take a class like Art 1050 on an SLCC campus, you need to make sure you add that to a semester where you are either an 11th or 12th grader. You can find out more about the Concurrent on-Campus program by going to slcc.edu/concurrent enrollment and clicking on the Concurrent on-Campus button. If you choose to participate in this program, be sure that you read through this page very carefully so you don't miss the deadlines or forget to follow certain steps in the process. Now, let me walk you through how you add a course to your plan. Because if we look at the written communication section, which requires 3 credits, nothing's been added yet, so we need to add that. To do that, you'll click on the Select button, and that'll open the course selection window. One of the things that you'll notice with this category is that one of these classes is highlighted yellow. What that means is that this class is offered at your high school, so that's good news. The English 2100, on the other hand, is not offered at your high school. You would have to take that through the Concurrent on-Campus program. So let's go ahead and add English 2010 to our plan. To do that, we'll go ahead and check this little radio button. Next, we'll decide the year and the semester we want to add that. Since there's a 12 in parentheses next to this class, we know that we need to take that our senior year. So we'll add it to either fall or spring semester of our senior year. Also, in case you were wondering, fall is usually August through the 1st of January, and spring runs from the 1st of January until May. Let's go ahead and add this to spring semester of our senior year, which is spring 2027, because we'll need to take English 1010 before English 2010, and we need to do that fall semester, which comes before spring. Then we'll go ahead and click Add to Plan, and there it is. Now let's say I wanted to work on the life sciences requirement, and I want to add biology 1610. So if I hit Select, and then I go to Add Biology 1610, you'll notice that this course is not highlighted yellow, which means it's not available at my high school. That means I need to make sure that the semester and year I select is during my junior or senior year, because otherwise, if I put it in my sophomore year, I won't be eligible to take that class on a SLCC campus. Also, the class is listed as 11th through 12th grade, so I really shouldn't be trying to take that as a sophomore. So that's something you need to be aware of as you're adding classes. Let's go ahead and add that to fall of 2026. One other thing that you may notice as you're going through your plan is that there are areas like, for example, the physical science category where it says it requires 0 credits. But physical science is a core category for general education, so why is there no class here? Well, the reason is because some degrees have the Gen Ed category requirements mingled within all of the required classes for that degree, instead of fulfilling that requirement through a single class. And so there are no specific classes required in that category for that degree. At other times, the category might be blank because there are no approved concurrent enrollment classes that will fulfill the physical science requirement for that particular degree. If that's the case, then you really don't need to worry about this category until after you graduate from high school. Or if you're really interested in finishing this before you graduate from high school, then you can take those classes through early enrollment. But you will be paying full college tuition, and early enrollment students are not eligible for scholarships or tuition waivers until after they graduate from high school. Once you graduate from high school, you'll be eligible for all kinds of financial aid. So anyway, if you see a category that's blank, you can essentially ignore it until after you graduate from high school. Okay, now there's one last thing I need to go through before we jump over to the next step. You've added Biology 1610 to your fall 2026 semester, but then you decide you're going to play football, and that might be a bit too much. So you want to move it to spring 2027 instead. How do you do that? Well, you do that by clicking this little Move button here, which will reopen the course selection dialog box that you're already familiar with. And all you need to do now is change the semester to spring 2027 and then update and save. And now that class has been moved to the spring 2027 semester. And that's how you can shuffle things around as your plans change, or if you make a mistake and you want to move a class to a different semester. So now we'll quickly go through and add the rest of our classes to our plan until each of these boxes is checked and we're ready to go on to the next step. All right, now that we've added all of our classes and each of the boxes is checked, we're ready to go ahead and submit the plan to our counselor and CE advisor. To submit the plan, just click Next Step. That'll give you one last chance to review your plan, and if everything looks good, you'll go ahead and click Submit for review. At that point, an email will be sent to the SLCC advisor who's assigned to your school, as well as your high school counselor who you selected when you started building this plan. Those two individuals would then review your plan, make sure there aren't any problems or conflicts with your high school schedule. And if they do find problems, they'll add a note, and you should get an email letting you know that a note was added to your plan. You can then log back into MyCE and review that note. To review your plan, you'll go again into My Academic Plan, and you'll see your plan listed here. Click View/Edit Details, and any general comments made by your SLCC advisor or high school counselor can be found by clicking View Notes. If they added a comment to a specific course, you'll see this little icon. You can click on that icon and see those comments for that specific course. If you want, you can also print off your plan for your personal records by clicking the Print link. You can also click on the Email Your Advisor link to send an email to the SLCC advisor who's assigned to you. They will then reach back out to you to help answer any questions that you might have. And there's one more thing that I need to show you before we send you on your way, and that is, what if you change your mind on the career that you're interested in going into? Let's say that you take a couple of biology classes and you decide, biology, not for me. Well, to change that, you just come back into MyCE again, go to the My Academic Plan section, and then click here to start a new plan, and then you go through the exact same process we walked you through before. That will create a second plan for you to begin following, and then from that point forward, you would ignore the biology plan and focus your energy on the new plan that you've built. And that is everything that you need to know to get started building your very first academic plan in MyCE.